Yeah, I get it.
Who's that?
Somebody I'm talking to, can you go outside, please? Okay, let's see. I've got it pulled up here so I can see. And I'm gonna hit record. We're not quite there yet, but. Okay. I think we are live now.
Awesome.
And it didn't record. There we go. And we're recording. Okay, so we're here today with Cindy Flores, who teaches violin and viola lessons, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Great. On and around Fort Riley. Now, do you do in-home lessons? I know you've done some virtual stuff with COVID.
Yeah, I definitely do in-home lessons. That's the majority of my lessons, just being in-home. I would like to have a little studio on my house in Fort Riley, but I need to recruit more students, and parents have to be willing to come to my house and have their students here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about yourself. Tell me a little bit about your family, how long you've been a military member or spouse, that sort of thing. Just a little bit about you.
So I'm originally from Salem, Oregon, just moved here from Fort Riley on New Year's Day, 2019. So I've been here for about a year and a half, but I miss Oregon and I always go back there on my vacations. But I started playing the violin when I was 8, and now that I'm 20, it's been 12 years going strong, and I love every second of it. I'm majoring in music education at K-State because I want to be a high school orchestra teacher, and then in hopes of one day starting my own music program along the coast of Oregon. So I'll move back there and I'll teach there, and then I'll open up my own music program, and it'll be all good.
Oh, awesome. I started playing violin when I was 8 as well, but I am vastly out of practice since having kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Story.
Okay. So is this your first duty station?
It is my first duty station, yeah, and it looks like it's going to be.
Sorry. Go outside.
Story.
Well, oh my goodness, sorry.
You're okay. Yeah, he's going to finish out his last year and a half here on Fort Riley, so this is going to be my first and only duty station. First
and last and only. Okay. Awesome. So just a little extra. And then I think you said you are planning on going back to Oregon.
Yeah. Okay. We're planning back to move there next year around July. So around this time next year.
Okay. So a year left.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to finish your degree at K-State before you leave?
No, unfortunately not. We were thinking about staying here for my college, but we just miss home so much, and we don't really have any family members here, so might as well just finish my last 2 years back at home.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's see. So now tell me about your business. I mean, you mentioned you teach violin and viola, correct? Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been teaching. I've been permanently teaching the last 2 years while I'm in school, but really my first student was my younger brother, and I taught him when I was in 7th grade, and he was a little 2nd grader. And as a little 7th grader, I didn't know how to teach. I didn't know what was the correct way to teach. So I remember teaching him. And I was just constantly yelling at him and just pushing him really hard. And just this little 2nd grader, he's so scared of me, and I'm just do it. But now that I'm older and now that I know more, I know not to do that. But yeah, so after my brother, I taught the rest of my siblings. I have 4 younger siblings, and they all play an instrument. We have another violin, and then a viola, and then a cello, and then the little one's going to learn an instrument this year, but I'm not there to teach it to her. So whatever she chooses to do. But I've taught many students back at my hometown. Many of my siblings' friends, they wanted to play the violin too, and so I taught them here and there. Nice. And then, but it wasn't until I got to college where where I can actually charge people to have lessons with me. And then I currently only have one student. Her name is Dawson, and I teach out in Manhattan. And then I've only been teaching for her for the last 3 months. And she's only a beginner, and she's doing really well. So I'm really impressed with how I've been teaching her, and I just want to expand to more students.
Sure. And do you teach her at her house or in one of the music stores in town?
Yeah, I teach over at her house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if people wanted lessons, it's kind of an option if they could come to you, or you can go to them and you guys just work that out.
Yeah. Have either option. I think what's so great is that since I'm able to have access to Fort Riley, is that I can teach to the middle school here, and I can teach to any of the elementary schools that have orchestra. I really don't know if they do or not, but I know a lot of my music educators told me if you're going to start teaching lessons, I suggest that you start out in Junction City and on Fort Riley, because there's not a whole lot of music teachers that are willing to go on base or can't get on base and don't want to go drive out to Junction City because it is kind of far away. But I have that like opportunity to be able to just be in the middle, be able to go to Manhattan and teach, and be on Fort Riley where I live, where I can teach a lot more instead of having, parents go out and drive when they're already so much. And so I just think it's really great where I live and how I have access to all three cities. Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know one of the holdups for, and I just know this from personal experience, for music lessons for kids is the instrument. And parents, I mean, kids, they're like, I really, really, really want to do this. And then like 3 weeks later, they don't care anymore. So the instrument, to get a decent violin, they're not super expensive, but they're not exactly cheap either. Do you know of anywhere here that rents them out so people can try it, violins or violas, so people can try it? Is there any shop?
Yeah, definitely. The only violin shop that I know of is in Manhattan, and it's called Glenn's Music Shop. They have so many instruments that you can try out for different sizings. Plus, they have like a program rent to buy. That way, you don't have to buy an instrument right away, and then 3 weeks later, they might not want to play it anymore.
Right.
So yeah, definitely like a choice that you can do. And I know it's only $25 to like $55 a month just to only rent a violin. So it's like super costly. It's not going to hurt your pocket whatsoever, but yeah, it's very affordable.
Great. That's what I was just, because, well, and you mentioned sizing. So maybe nobody watching us knows, but violins are different sizes. They're personally sized. So as they grow, they're growing out of it. So if you've got a really small child, you might not want to buy the really small violin that they're going to grow out in a year. So it's better to rent that as they
definitely, because also like once you start making payments for the rented violin, if they do move up a size, everything that you've already paid goes up towards that new instrument. So you're not really having to start over and pay over again. It just transfers over.
Right. And if they lose interest, you turn it in. I mean, obviously you've paid what you rented for it, but you don't have to continue paying for it.
Right. Yeah. That's how it works.
So that's Glenn's Music in Manhattan, which is on Points. Yeah, I can't think of any other like great directions. It's next to a tattoo shop on Points, like on the south side of Points. So anyway, that's where it is. They're great. They're really helpful in there. So yeah, awesome. Cool. Let's see. So you've already told me how long you've been doing this, so that's great. I'm just kind of running through my questions since you've answered several of them.
You're good.
So how do you feel like, I know that this is your first duty station, your last duty station, so you're not like, your business is not necessarily revolved around the military lifestyle as far as being prepared to move, although you are being prepared to move back home. How would you say your experience of running a business as a military spouse, how has that been for you? What struggles has it given you, and what benefits have you seen from that?
Right.
And you've kind of mentioned some, but just if you want to anything.
Yeah. So far, I haven't seen so much of a struggle other than I just need to recruit more students. And I have been putting out flyers. I haven't talked to some parents, but it's ultimately like up to the student and the parent to, to make the commitment to be able to do it. Because it is like a commitment type of thing. It isn't just, oh, we can buy this item here online and then it's done and over. But this is kind of like, how long do you want to be with me? Because I see, at least a year maybe, because, it is just a growing thing. But it is kind of hard to make that kind of commitment. But that's the only struggle I've seen really. But honestly, the benefit of the doubt is that I'm able to have access to all three cities near me, Manhattan, Fort Riley, and Junction City. And since I'm able to drive anywhere, we can teach at my house, especially if parents on Fort Riley, they're too busy at work, they can drop off their student here. At least they don't have to drive out to Junction City and then come back work and then come back out there. So I just think me living here will just relieve the hassle of any parents saying, oh, maybe we can't get you that music teacher because they live out in Manhattan or Junction City, because we have one right here. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Tell me how your lessons are structured. So you're talking about commitment and everything. Of course, learning an instrument is a commitment. It's just not something you pick up and are good at instantly. You have to work at it. You have to work through that really awkward, horrible sounding phase. Like you just have to. So do you do weekly 30-minute lessons? Like, what do you usually recommend people do?
Yeah, so I offer like 3 different type of lessons. We can do 30 minutes lessons, 45 minutes, or a full hour, which a lot of people go for the full hour.
Okay.
I know how I structured it is that, first I tell you all the rules. I tell you don't water your violin, don't play out in the rain, please don't damage it. This is what we do, this is what we don't touch. This is like the basis of it. And then I start off teaching like this is how you properly stand, because you just can't slouch while you play. This is how we properly sit. It's really a lot more of how do we like prepare ourselves to be musicians, because we're no longer just like an 8-year-old child who's just learning. I'm trying to teach you how to grow up to be a musicianship, and then how to have that just a little upper level of higher maintenance of just like focusing.
Yeah, a level of like professionalism, if you will.
Yeah.
So do you ask for any sort of contract or anything? I mean, obviously to get good, you have to give it a while. You're not gonna, but as we know, children do sometimes, they get their heart set on something, but they're really not, they just can't really comprehend it. And so after a month or two, they may just say, I hate it, I never want to go back. And that's not on you, that's just kids. I mean, so do you ask parents to make a certain amount of time commitment or anything like that?
Yeah. So when you first start playing an instrument, it's both the student and the parent to make the commitment. The student is there in the lessons with me, trying to absorb everything I'm trying to throw at them. I'm telling them, showing them how to practice, especially if you're new to this. And I'm also asking parents to at least sit into lessons once in a while, just to see how I'm teaching them, and maybe if they're able to help out their kid as well, because I'm also showing the parents every once in a while, this is how you teach them. You got to focus on this part here and make sure that they do it correctly. And then definitely, but then it all comes down to the child's benefit. It all comes down to the child willing to practice at home. And if the parents are going to reinforce that good positivity to, practice or don't practice. Because there are some parents who are like, don't practice now because it's too late. Don't do this now. You got to do other things. Go do other things. Go play outside. I mean, so
and as a parent, children have this knack. They're really good at it, of putting off things like practice until the most inconvenient time ever. Like I'm ignoring it, I'm playing, I'm ignoring it, I'm playing. I'm like, oh look, it's 9:00 and I'm supposed to be going to bed. Oh, I need to practice. Like, well, where were you the last 5 hours of the day? So
I mean,
so the parents, they have to remind and everything, but also like kids are really good at finding that really bad time to do these things.
I'm definitely finding out about that with my student, because she always puts everything at the last minute. I mean, it could be the day where I have to go over there and teach her lesson. She's like, I just practiced an hour ago. And I told her, do you practice at all any time this week? She's like, no. No.
That's hard.
Yeah.
So when I did violin lessons, we started out doing the Suzuki method. Do you follow any specific type of method, or do you judge it by kid, or what do you use?
Yeah, I don't teach the Suzuki method yet. I have to get certified and trained in order to do that. But there are some trainings that are kind of good. But I'm only teaching my students based on how I learned.
Okay.
But since I don't know how to do this, but since we're doing lessons, so we're not in like a big group, you do have a lot more attention to that individual, which everything I'm teaching my student in the last 3 months is what I've learned the first 2 years when I was in a big school group. So I know she's advancing quite a bit, because when she's going to start school back again in August, she's going to be like a year ahead of every one of her peers. Yeah. So I'm teaching her based on how I learned the violin. But after that, it's just by ear.
Well, we started out with Suzuki, but we dropped it pretty quickly. We actually told my violin teacher I wanted to learn fiddle. And she was like, well, I teach Suzuki. This is what I teach. This is what you're going to get. And so we did it for a while. And she very quickly learned that she probably needed to adjust to what I was wanting to learn, because I was really, really fast. Like everything, she was like, oh my gosh, can you do that half speed? I was like, no, I can't.
Every child is different, definitely.
Yeah. So once we switched to fiddle music, it was fine. It was better at that point, because that was just what I was more inclined to. But anyway, all right. I told you my kids were going to be bad right now.
No, you're okay.
Okay. What would you, and again, you may not really know, and that's okay, but is there anything you would tell other military spouses who are considering starting their own business, do you have any advice or any just things that you've learned that you were like, oh, this would be good for other people to know?
Yeah, I mean, definitely with any business at all, really put yourself out there, really advertise for yourself, because without the advertisement, how are you supposed to grow? And it may not like grow right away because, I went to 6 different schools all around here and I only got 1 student, and that was like 3 months ago before this whole thing started. And obviously now I'm not going to grow until this year, but definitely it does take a while for your business to grow, but definitely keep advertising, keep emailing anybody that you know, saying, hey, please spread this out, because eventually in the long run you might get like 2 more students here and then 3 more, and the next you have like 20 students that are wanting lessons for you all at the same time. You're like, this is where I want to be. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Is there anything, sorry, you're freezing a little bit.
Oh no, I'm here.
Okay, I think we're caught up.
Hey.
Here, I know, Mike, I don't know if it's me or what, but is there anything you would tell someone specifically thinking about getting into like teaching music, with that sort of business?
Yeah, definitely. I know teaching lessons is just like a little side job until I get my degree and whatnot. But even then, like teaching at an actual school, you're not in it for the money. You're in it just to teach the students. You're in it to have the experiences, because I'm not at all thinking, oh, I need to make this amount of money with this amount of students. Like I'm not thinking about that. I'm just thinking all of the lessons and all the lifetime opportunities that I'm going to have with this child, because I want to make a difference in their lives. And I want to do that through music. So I'm only doing that for that purpose. And I find great gratitude every time I have a lesson. And I'm just like, this is what I'm thankful for. And this is what I do. So for that, I enjoy it.
So you need that personal motivation, not, we're not trying to become millionaires teaching music or anything, just trying to trying to share that love. Okay, cool.
Definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Nothing else other than if you want to try a lesson with me, the first one is always free.
Awesome.
Just
nice.
the
Good to
test.
know.
Yeah.
And then, so how would somebody get a hold of you if they wanted to do lessons?
Definitely. Email is the best way. I always check my email like 3 times a day. Phone number too. You can either text me or call me. Definitely leave a voicemail and I'll get back to you right away, because if it is for lessons, I drop everything and I'm like, let's make some time for it, because this is what I'm.
Yeah. And I will put if it's okay with you. So Cindy's information is in my military spouse directory, which if you're watching this in the PCS Pay It Forward group, that is in the file section. If you are not watching this in the PCS Pay It Forward group, if you're watching it later on a recording, then message me or find our group and join, and then you can get that directory. But I will also put it in the information with this video, your email address and your phone number, if it's okay. I'll put both of those things so people can know how to get a hold of you. And is there specific times of day that you're available to teach that people should be aware of?
Nope, I am available all day. I have another job, but I'll drop that right away just to make time for anybody.
Okay, so just talk to you and work it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. Great, good to know. So again, that's music, that's violin and viola. Okay, viola. I was like, wait a minute. Violin and viola lessons, available in Manhattan, Junction City, or on Fort Riley.
Yeah.
Time is negotiable, amount of time, it can be 30 minutes up to an hour. And check out her contact information in the description of this video to set that up, to get connected. And then if you are taking lessons, Glenn's Music in Manhattan is the great place to get your violin or viola on a rent to own or rental basis, so that you don't have to commit to purchasing the whole instrument up front.
Yeah.
Did I cover everything?
Yeah, that covers everything.
Awesome. Well, that was pretty quick, but I think it was a lot of good information. You kind of covered all my questions in your introduction, talking about you and moving here and getting ready to move back to Oregon. So folks have about a year to get lessons from you. And then I'm assuming towards the end of that year, if people are still here, of course, military families also are moving. Are you able to like maybe help them try to match them up with somebody else, hopefully?
Yeah. I have a lot of students. I have a lot of my peers at K-State that want to teach lessons, but yeah, definitely.
So you've got some connections. So you can work with Cindy for a year, and then when she is getting ready to move, she can help hook you up with somebody else that can kind of take the reins and move your student along to the next level. So
Yeah.
awesome. Great. Well, thanks so much for talking to me. I know Saturdays are busy, and for me too.
Yeah.
And
Good.
so I don't know
Thank
if
you.
you could just hear him, but that was fun.
Yeah, no, thank you for letting me advertise. This is pretty cool.
Absolutely. I'm so glad. I hope we've had a couple people tune in. I don't see any questions. If anybody had asked questions, I would let you know.
Mhm.
But we'll have this here, and it'll stay in the group, and hopefully, somebody might be interested. So
Yeah,
I hope that can
hopefully.
work out for you. Yeah. But thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.